Hello, and welcome to Young Global Leaders, where we get the chance to hear from young people hailing from all around the world, sharing about themselves, their accomplishments, and their vision for a better world. Recently, I had the privilege of leading a group of about 100 young people from over 40 countries to 7 global regions on an 8-month global gap year program. Most of them had just graduated from high school, though we also had a few older students. During our 8+ months together, the students formed a deeply loving and supportive community. Anyone could see that they had built something unique and inspiring. Through my eyes as a teacher, coach, and global leadership consultant, what I saw was unlike anything I'd seen before. When the program ended, I desperately wanted to keep in touch with these students and to share their example with the world. So I started the Young Global Leaders podcast. Today we hear from Kazim Tug. Kazim Tug, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Jason.
It's my pleasure. I'm really glad that you were able to make the time to chat with me today. I'll start by asking you, where are you joining us from and what has brought you there?
Today I'm in the greatest city in Europe and maybe the entire world. I'm in London. What's brought me to London is, university. So I'm here for university, studying at UCL for the next 2.5 years.
What are you studying there?
Studying politics and sociology with some elective modules in French. But I seem to be spending more time on the French modules than I do on the politics ones. They take a lot more effort.
A French language?
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting almost at total beginner level, so trying to learn my Turkish is a bit rusty, but trying to learn a third language or attempt to learn a third language at least, and it'll be worth it in the end, I hope.
So are you actually taking classes that are taught in French, or you're learning elementary French as a class?
As a class, yeah, I'm learning elementary French. But if I keep it up for the next 2 years, it should be by the end of my time at UCL when I graduate, it should be pretty good. But we'll see. Hopefully I stick at it. But yeah, we'll see.
Excellent. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I love languages. You may know that about me, and so I just find the whole topic fascinating. All right, Kazim. Well, let's get into the content here. What makes you you?
Right. What makes me me? So I've always been. I don't want to say I've always been unique because it sounds a bit, but sounds a bit cliche, doesn't it? But no, I'm mixed. So that was always a big part of my identity growing up. Especially in a small town in Northern Ireland, it wasn't really a very diverse place. So I think being half Turkish and being half Northern Irish, it's a very weird combo. I've never met anybody like myself. So that makes me in a way, because my life experience is strange. It's kind of strange because it's not really something that you can replicate easily unless you are also, you can be mixed, but maybe not the same two nationalities. What else makes me me? It's a very difficult question to answer. There are plenty of things that make me me. I mean, I love football. I love politics. I love history. I'm a massive nerd. I used to, when I was a little kid, I have a map behind me in my room here. I used to sit and study atlases whenever I was a kid, just memorizing cities and things like that. I've always been fascinated by politics, and I suppose you can link that back to where I grew up is a very politically contested area, and also being mixed, it adds another dimension. So I mean, in some way, you can link everything back to that. Even for the football team I support, are a Turkish football team, Fenerbahce. But I've only been to 3 games in my entire life. But this is the team I watch every weekend, and watch with my dad when I'm home. So I suppose you can link everything back there. But I don't really know what makes me me. But I suppose that's a lot of it.
Great reflections. And I wanted to share just one of my observations about what makes you you, Kazim, from our months together on the road. You just have this positive energy that flows forth from you. I would see you at breakfast and you'd say, "Hey, Jason, you good?"
Yes.
And I, whether I was good or not, I would be honest, I'm doing okay today. How about you? And you'd be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's an energetic presence that you have that I think really is infectious, which is a strange word because infectious sounds bad. But it's that good kind of infectious where just being around you feels good because you've got this really positive energy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Could you say a little bit more about your background? Because I don't want to fixate on that, right? But simply because you brought it up a couple of times. Your dad is Turkish.
Yep.
And your mother is Irish from Northern Ireland, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And yes, and I'll say for our listeners, there's a LinkedIn article that you recently wrote that I found incredibly educational, and I will link to it in the show notes so that people can get a sense a little bit more about you, the educational system that you were raised in, some of the ongoing educational and political challenges in Northern Ireland, and also just your really solid, focused, and clear writing. It was like when I was reading the piece, there's a professional level of writing that was extremely impressive. Yeah. Well, thank you for indulging me on that question that I ask all my guests here on Young Global Leaders. We'd love to hear more about your story as it relates to Beret Scholars, which was the program that you and I were both on in different capacities, different roles, right? But but that was the context for us getting to know each other. How did you come to know about Beret Scholars and join the inaugural cohort of this program?
It was by total coincidence. So I had some universities I'd gotten into, but I wanted to go to a better one. So I said, okay, I'm going to take a year off. I plan to do a gap year already. I'm going to take a gap year and I'm going to reapply and we'll see what happens. My original plan was to go to, I have some family in Turkey. My plan was to go to Turkey, make my Turkish like perfect. Totally fluent. That was my initial plan. So I was very naive and very optimistic. I was looking for, like jobs in Istanbul or Izmir that will pay me in euros. I don't even have a high school like diploma yet. There are people who graduate from the Turkish universities and they can't get jobs, and somehow I think, I'm going to be able to find one. Lo and behold, I couldn't find one. I didn't search for very long before that dawned on me. But every time I searched for a job in Istanbul, the Beret Scholars, this thing, it kept coming up over and over and over again. And the first time I looked at it, I thought, this is a load of rubbish. Like, it has to be a scam.
You were not alone. A lot of students thought that.
Totally surreal. Like, what on earth is this? It's like a fever dream. You go to 7 different regions, and it seemed ridiculous. But I was, I guess, crazy or stupid enough. I don't know which one you want to put. Naive enough. I don't know. Worked out, but naive enough to apply. So I applied, and that's how I found out about it and got accepted. And it was brilliant.
Love it. Wonderful. Yeah, that was it. Was for our listeners. At our graduation ceremony, the one of the student speakers, this was kind of first line where she says, "Well, I guess Bray didn't turn out to be the scam that we all thought it was." Yeah, a lot of students I think felt that way. But anyway, so thank you for sharing that. So getting now into your experience of Beret Scholars, we often talk about learning as an important outcome of a program like Beret. I'm wondering if you can share with us anything that you might have unlearned during your travels.
I think I unlearned a lot about, especially when it came to university, like preconceptions of people. And you meet someone for the first time and maybe they don't, you don't have a great first impression. And then before, especially in high school, I would just avoid that person and think, oh, this person's horrible. What Beret taught me was people that they change all the time and they're always different. And you really need to get to know someone before you can properly make a judgment and say, I don't like you. I mean, some people you're just not going to like and you're not going to get on with. It's fair enough. But I mean, if you meet them one time and you don't like them, maybe it's on you, unless they did, something terrible. And maybe it's on you and you just need to get to know them better. So yeah, it helped me be a lot more, it made me a lot more, I think, tolerant and patient with people who I've just met. And I mean, everybody's nervous at the start, but people react to new experiences differently. So it taught me that. And the people I was friends with from the start of Beret until the end of Beret, it just grew and grew and grew, or even totally changed some of the things. So I think, I unlearned that I shouldn't preconceive people, and I shouldn't have a bias against them. So but that was probably one of my main takeaways. I thought that I was a super social person, always wanted to be with people. but being with people so often, I unlearned that. I realized sometimes I really like being by myself and doing things. I remember in Istanbul, I went to a few football matches by myself, and I loved it. It was just by
Mm.
myself in stands with everybody. Doing stuff in groups was amazing. Like my best memories are with people; they're not alone. But sometimes, yeah, I mean, I had so much fun by myself, just doing various things.
I'm glad you had the chance to do that. It probably, I would imagine, took some creativity on your part to figure that out because, the program, I mean, there's plenty of independent exploration that's designed into the program, but
Yeah.
you're just around, I mean, you're sharing, you've got a roommate, there's people in the morning program, afternoon options. So, did it take a little bit of creativity and ingenuity for you to figure out how to spend some time by yourself?
Yeah, I think in Istanbul it was easy because I could speak Turkish decently and I know the
Oh.
city, so it was just okay, I'm gonna go do this now. So if you have a plan, I mean with anything really, if you have a plan, it's easy to get
Mhm.
things done. I find if I want to get something done and want to try to do something challenging, if I have like even if it's an easy thing, like today when I woke up, I want to do my homework, I want to go to the gym, and I want to not eat junk food. I'm
Mm.
probably gonna do if I pick those three things, I'm probably gonna do it. Unless if something comes up, but if I make a plan, things always go better. So as long as I plan, tomorrow I'm going to go to the football game. Tomorrow I'm just going to walk to the Arc de Triomphe and walk back, something like that. Then,
Mhm.
yeah, well, it's easy enough then.
Not eating junk food is a great thing that you've just inspired me to throw into my
Oh,
daily plans because whoo, it is a weakness for me.
yeah, mine, I haven't been good lately. No, no, no.
Well, as you've been reflecting on the year with Beret, what would you say are some of the main ways that you've grown?
I think that's a brilliant question. Um, I, th- I'm not sure. I really don't know. I think it made me chill out a lot more
Mm.
and understand that life is. I mean, people always say life is short, but it's not that short. Like you can do quite a lot in a year. Um, it made me appreciate being younger a lot more. Like we're
Mm.
19 years old and we travel the whole world. Who on earth does that? Remember my last 2 years of high school. Every opportunity that came, I was like, I want to do it. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And it was just like, trying to find crossing a bridge. Where's the next bridge? Where's the next bridge? Where's the next bridge?
Mhm.
And you keep going and going. But I mean, Bahrain, you're traveling with a cohort for 7 months, so there's no more bridge. I mean, you're crossing it, and it's like a bridge with flowers and a rainbow and sunshine and everything. It made me chill out a lot, and it made me realize that it's okay to just kind of enjoy being 19, and you don't always have to
Mm.
be working the whole time. You need to work hard. I mean, if you want anything really, but sometimes it's okay, especially, when you're so young, because I'm not going to get the chance to do something, this crazy ever again. So, yeah, I didn't take it for granted. No, I really enjoyed it. Or it was ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous.
I know, right? It's a good word for it. It's a good word for it. And I had that thought many times throughout the years, like, we're really doing this.
Yeah,
This is still happening. This
it
is really
dawns on you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'Cause conceptually, it's like, how do you get your head around it? Well, you can't really. You just live it day after day after day, and
Yeah,
then the days eventually end up at the end, and whoa, we did that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm curious now because it was such a long and intense experience, and so now we are recording this January 19th of 2026. So it's now been just about 8 months
Yeah.
to the day since the program ended. I'm wondering what you might recall about the reentry process after the program and what that was like for you.
It was, well, it started off well. After graduation, a lot of us went to Japan, and it was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. There were, one
Mm.
of my friends from Northern Ireland came, so it
Mm.
was brilliant, like totally brilliant. I was there for 10 days. So yeah, I mean, it was great. It was just like a fellowship. I mean, I was with people, and it was like a random mix of people as well. So it was actually just like a fellowship, and a lot of us were living together in a big Airbnb in Tokyo.
Fun. Mm.
So it was amazing. And after that ended, I went back to Northern Ireland, and I started work, I think, 2 days later. And I spent the whole summer working, and it was a back to reality moment.
Mm.
I remember my first shift was on Monday the 5th or 6th of June, and it was a 12-hour shift in the factory. And
Oof.
the the hours in June and July were. I mean, we had a lot of hours because the orders were so big. Whenever the weather, it's a vegetable factory, so whenever the weather is good, the orders become huge.
Mm.
So I remember going back and my dad laughing at me on my lunch break, just coming over and patting me in the back. and saying, yeah, welcome back to life. So yeah, the re-entry process. I mean, Japan was brilliant. That was still in my head whenever I think of beret, even though it wasn't actually with beret.
Hmm.
Being in Japan with all my friends, it was just a continuation. Yeah, when it really hit was when I got home and I realized, yeah, this is it for the next 3.5 months. And it was a pretty long summer. I had some nice things. I went to Spain to see Olivia. She came to Northern Ireland. And yeah, I did a few other things. Got to see all my friends again back home, and I had a good summer, but just a very long one and quite a tiring one. But probably have to do the same next year again. So but it's okay. It's okay.
Go work in the vegetable factory.
Oh yeah. Year number 5. I'm like a returning player. Every time I come back, it's like, oh, the garden's on
Kazim's
me.
back.
Yeah.
What do you do in the vegetable factory?
It's just pretty mundane. So it's work. I work in the I worked, but I will work in the preparation department since I was 16. Pretty much you're just processing like raw vegetables. You're either washing them or cutting them, and sending them to another department. So it's pretty labor intensive and pretty long hours, but it pays well, especially when you're like, whenever I was younger, 16, 17, 18, they would pay the same wage as they paid, adults to teenagers. So it was really good then. And I mean, the people I work with there are amazing, and I have so much fun. Yeah.
What is the actual product? Is it like frozen vegetables, or like what is the final product from the factory?
They make a bunch of things, but it's like pretty much vegetarian products that you find in a supermarket. But more like expensive supermarkets, so like Whole Foods or something like that, like coleslaw potato salad or couscous or stir fry, things like that.
Interesting. So if I go to can I ask the name of the company?
I think they only sell in the UK. I'm not sure if it's in the US.
They only sell in the UK. Okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering because you mentioned Whole Foods. I thought, there's a Whole Foods not too far from me. I wonder if I would find any of their products in the US.
No, like the UK equivalent would be Waitrose maybe, or M&S. But yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Interesting. Okay, back to Reentry. I love for that. That's a great story about like your dad. I love the idea of your dad coming patting you on the back, son.
Yeah.
What about you mentioned spending a lot of time with your friends, and I've heard a lot of stories from students returning from experiences abroad that are a lot less intense than Beret Scholars was, and even say with 6 weeks, they come back and they've been through so much that it can be hard to connect with their friends. Did you have any of that at all, or was it kind of seem like what was it like actually being with your friends again?
Yeah, I know, haven't thought of that very much. It's actually very very good one. I think the first time it was like nothing happened or nothing changed really. I mean, they've seen each other, the whole year. None of them moved abroad. Oh, no, last year, yes, this year. One of my friends is in the US, but last year they were all together in Northern Ireland, and all at university in Belfast or nearby. So they saw each other quite frequently, and things like that. But when I came back at winter break, we played football together, like halfway through Beret. We went to McDonald's afterwards. We went to the pub. It was just the same as before. It was just the same as before I left. I mean, you do even at university with people who I haven't met before Beret. Whenever you start talking about the things the things you've done, someone says, "Oh, I'd love to go to Kenya," and you say, "Oh yeah, I've been there." They look at you like you have 4 eyes. What did you just say? And then I want to go to Sri Lanka. Oh yeah, I've been there as well. It's just ridiculous, and it's quite hard to. Yeah, I know it's quite hard to put into perspective. But I'm always cautious whenever I introduce myself. I never talk about Beret until later, because I don't know, it sounds so pretentious. Oh, you did a gap year. What did you do? And I'm like, oh yeah, I traveled a bit. And then if they press me, I'll tell them, I'll admit it. Quite happily I'll admit it. But I don't want to come across as pretentious or kind of like, yeah, showing off. I did this, I did this. Which I mean, we did, and we got very lucky that we all did. But yeah, I think seeing my friends back home, nothing really changed. It was just we went home. We did all the same stuff we used to do. Playing PlayStation together, or just the same things we always did. There wasn't really a total disconnect. I mean, everybody's just kind of getting on with their lives, especially in summer. Everybody's always working, so it's not like we're free all the time. But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And what you're sharing about, the folks that you meet, it sounds like there is this experience that you had that's very much part of who you are. And
Mhm.
you don't want it to become at a moment when you're trying to become closer with people that you don't know yet very well.
Yeah.
You don't want to become a barrier to forming a friendship. Is that an accurate interpretation of what you're saying?
I think it's a very accurate one. I even like my friend, he went to Eton. One of my closer friends at UCL, now he went to Eton, but he never tells people he went to Eton. You
Hmm.
just find out weeks later because he thinks if he tells people he went to Eton, they're gonna, straight away make assumptions. Ah, he's posh. Ah, he's, he's so and
Hmm.
so, he's so and so. He's yeah. So yeah,
Something
it's
similar to that.
pretty similar. Pretty similar.
Yeah. Good. Well, on to the next question. So you were traveling the world with peers from over 40 countries.
Mhm.
I'm guessing you know a thing or two about how to communicate and collaborate across cultures. I'm wondering what insights you might have gained in this regard as a result of all of your experiences with Bray scholars.
Um, I mean, my house was a pretty good representation of Barre scholars growing up. We always spoke in English, quite like Barre, which was my first language, but not my dad's. So I could get away with this with my dad. My mom and I, we always used to make fun of the way he'd say certain words, or especially I remember putting up Christmas decorations one year. And he's putting up the baubles, and the floor keeps getting covered in glitter, and he starts going, "There are glitters everywhere." Oh, I remember dying laughing. And every single year when the Christmas tree goes up, the same sentence comes out over and over and over again. So I mean that's a personal story from crossing cultures at home.
Hmm.
In Bahrain, I just found it very easy. I quite seamless. I mean, where I grew up is quite binary. There aren't really. It's not a very diverse area. I always was I think I was the only Muslim in my school growing up, apart from my brother and sister. But in high school, I was the only one growing up. So it came with its own set of challenges. I think when you understand how someone can feel, and I used to get like whenever I was young, especially 2015, 2016, the things with Islamic State, I used to get quite a lot of abuse from classmates, or I mean, it is racism, but I know it's not based on the color of my skin because I didn't really look any different. Slightly, didn't really look any different to them, but my name's different, and my dad is different, and my religion was different, so it's always the first thing. If someone's angry with me, the first thing they'll go for is, oh, you're a Muslim, oh, you're so and so and so. So I think understanding that whenever you meet people who, aren't the same as you, I mean, you've been ostracized for, I never took it to heart that much when I was a kid. And I knew that, like, these people, especially when you get older, you understand, I mean, they might still have these biases, but you can't blame them. They grew up in a small town in the center of Northern Ireland. Like, you can say they're close-minded or arrogant, or sorry, ignorant, but they weren't, like, I'm probably the first Muslim they've seen in their life, so it's not like a thing they've had to deal with. And you can't totally blame. You can put some of the blame on them, but I mean, it's not even. I wouldn't even call it the fault of their parents. They just don't know any better because they haven't
Mm.
had to. So yeah. So I think when I go into Bahrain, meeting people from everywhere, I mean, yeah, I found it very easy. Everybody's just maybe even I found it easier than meeting people. Well, actually, yeah, I did. I found it easier than trying to connect with people at home because I have a lot more in common with an international cohort than I do with you know, just a binary one.
That makes a lot of sense to me. There's I don't think you quite fit the definition of third culture kid. Have you heard of third culture kids? Have you ever heard that concept before?
Yeah. I've heard the concept.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you. Do you identify as third culture kid?
Yeah. Oh, probably not. No, probably
Hmm.
not. I mean, somewhat, but probably more so not.
The reason the concept popped into my mind right there was one characteristic of third culture kids. A really common characteristic of third culture kids is feeling more at home. It's like, where do I belong? I don't really belong anywhere except with other third culture kids.
Yeah,
These very worldly folks, border boundary crossers, folks who've been doing their whole lives have been crossing cultural boundaries. And that's why I thought of it with regard to you, because it feels like from your descriptions, you had so many formative experiences inside your home, and then also being othered and ostracized in certain ways as a kid. You worked through a lot of that, and then here you are with this international group. It's like, oh, these are my people.
Yeah, yeah. And I spoke to Darius a lot about it. He's in London, which helps, and he's also
Oh.
mixed. He's even more mixed than I am.
Mm.
His background is so complicated. But we share a lot in common. He grew up in Hungary. So probably a pretty similar, both quite conservative societies. His experience of high school before he went to UWC is probably the closest I've ever heard to my experience of growing up mixed in Northern Ireland. So
Mhm.
yeah, in some way, I mean, I identify with him a lot because I mean we share so much in common. But no, I think my closest friends, most of them aren't mixed. I just if I like someone and they happen to be mixed, like Darius, it just it's because I like them, not because they're mixed. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Interesting. Good. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. So you're university now,
yes, yes.
and you said how many more years?
2.5, so 2028 graduation.
So you had already been at university for 1 year when you started Beret?
No, no, no. In the UK, courses are 3 years
Oh my God,
generally.
how did I not know that? Okay, maybe I'll edit that out so the listeners don't think I'm like really ignorant. I'm
Uh,
kidding. I'm going to leave it in so the listeners will know. Um, okay, 3 years. I did. Yeah. Anyway, so um, do you have any idea at this point what you want to do after you graduate from university?
Hopefully, make money. That's the main goal. After make money, change the world. Because you can't save anybody if you can't save yourself. So that's my life motto. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll see where I land. That's the main thing. I'm trying so many different avenues and trying to see what happens. I'd love to do politics. It's been what I wanted to do since I was younger. I think if you don't take it on it's a very horrible job. I think politicians get a lot of stick in the media. Your entire life is online. Everything's public, but I mean, it's a hard job. It's a necessary job. I mean, you're a public servant, and it's something I've always wanted
Mm.
to do. Alternatively, I'd be looking a lot at finance or banking or investment banking, which I'd say is a lot more glamorous, but a lot less ethical. Um, if you are an investment banker or a finance broker, your entire premise of making money is making per people per generally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty hard. They feel like, I mean, in the media especially, or maybe in the general, maybe I would have thought this when I was younger as well. I would have put politicians and investment bankers in the same,
Mm.
like the axis of evil.
Uh-huh.
These horrible people who steal things from everybody and all these things. But no, meeting with a lot of politicians and really trying to get involved with politics, you realize the vast majority of people in politics, they're there not. No, nobody wants to be ostracized in public out of personal gain. Doesn't make any sense. They're doing it because they genuinely care and they want to make a difference and they want to change things. There are some, bad apples, but there are always going to be. But the majority of politicians are, I think so, trying to do something good and trying to help people.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned changing the world. How do you want to change the? I don't mean how, like the means, but in what ways is the world now that you want to see it be different in the future?
Phew, quite a long list, maybe.
Mm.
There's a certain president who I'd like to maybe see lose the next election in the where you're from.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That would
thankfully,
be
he's not ever going to be on the ballot again.
yeah, hopefully, hopefully,
Yeah,
hopefully,
right.
hopefully, hopefully. That would be a good start. That would be a
Mm-hmm.
good start. But unfortunately, I can't do that. So, but that would be a nice start.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to see? I mean, based on where I grew up, my article on education in Northern Ireland, that was a very easy thing we could do. We could do it tomorrow. I don't know. It makes no. There was in the article I explain how there was a school. The parents wanted to do it. The students wanted to do it, and the government said no because the
Mm-hmm.
minister didn't agree with it. It's just ridiculous. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
things in politics, like I mean, that's just a pure example of tribalism. And it's democratic deficit because the majority of people in Northern Ireland they want this change. It's like legislated that it should happen, and it didn't happen.
And just for our
Um,
listeners, we're talking about the integration of schools, right?
yes, yes, yes. Sorry,
Yes.
my
Mm,
fault.
yeah.
The
Okay.
integration of schools in Northern Ireland. But changing the world, I mean, it's quite difficult
Mm.
to change the world in a meaningful way. Um, and if you gave me the I don't know keys to the White House tomorrow, well, I could tell you, a few things I do to turn back what Trump's doing. But
Mm.
if I was going to say how will I change the world, I mean, I really don't know. it's so different. Like, what can, as one person, what can I do? I think one of my favorite quotes, though, is Margaret Mead's quote: "All it takes to change the world is a small, committed group of individuals." Something
Mm-hmm.
that's paraphrased, and that's all that ever it has changed the world.
Mm-hmm.
Which is true. But I mean, if you want to change the world, same with anything. I remember when I was in Northern Ireland before I went to Bahrain when I was in high school, I made a football team, and it was the best thing I did, I maybe ever. Because you make something much bigger than yourself. Because how can I could write an article, which is good, it's well and good. I get praised. The article's nice, but you make a football team, you make something a hell of a lot bigger than yourself. You can't play, you can't, you can't play football with one player.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the manager, and I would run the social media and do things like that. And I would pick my team every weekend, and it was our friend group, and the team ended up becoming huge. And we competed in the local league. So I mean that changed our lives for maybe the team lasted 18 months, but for 6 months it was very serious. And for those 6 months it did change our lives because we made new friends from everywhere. I remember at one point we had 5 different religions and maybe 10 different nationalities in such a it's a place with very little diversity, and we had so many different players. And our squad got so big we ended up having a reserve team, and we started off thinking we're never going to be able to field the team, and we ended up moderately successful. So that's not changing the world, but it is changing 40 young men's lives in the town, in my town in Portadown in Northern Ireland. And it was because I took initiative, but I couldn't have done it all by myself. I needed the other 39 boys, and we made something a lot bigger than ourselves. And yeah, we all benefited from it a lot. We all a lot closer with each other as well. And yeah, it was amazing.
To me, there's nothing like the thrill of working with others in concert towards a common goal. It's so exhilarating.
It's very good fun, especially when you've gone through so much and then you finally win. I remember one of our games we were expected to get hammered. Whenever we first joined the league, we were written off because our team wasn't very good. I remember our first game we lost 7-2. It was a disaster. And then we were okay for a while, but we had a really big game coming up. And we ended up 3-0 up. It was going really good. And then penalty for the other team, and one of our players got assaulted by a guy on the other team. He got the penalty, did something, whatever. So he went to hospital. And we could have either gone off the pitch or kept playing, but we said, we'll keep playing. The game it came to 3-3, and then we scored at the end, and it ended up 4-3, and we won. And it was huge.
Wow.
I remember driving around the pitch afterwards with my friends, them in their cars just beeping their horns. But whenever that worked out, it felt so good.
I love it. Well, that's. I mean, you have a 3-0 lead, you give it up. It would be so easy to get discouraged at that point and just say, "Oh no, doom and gloom. This is not gonna go our way." And then you did, and you won. That's a great story.
That was brilliant. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, one more question for you, Kazim.
Mm-hmm.
And you've kind of been doing this throughout our conversation, but I'm going to ask you to focus in on this, which is we live in a world that is full of suffering, and much of that suffering is caused by humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be very easy to feel overwhelmed and to lose hope. Although I'm picking up that maybe it's not so easy for you to feel overwhelmed and lose hope. We'll see. What I'm curious is whether you have any words to encourage us about the future.
I remember when I read this question, I looked at it and it actually made me feel, I don't know, like an existential crisis, but I looked at it and I thought, I mean, it is, I think it's very easy to be apathetic, especially, I mean, when you take everything into account and you think, who am I? You don't need to really be anybody, but what can I do? One of my favorite books is a book called Politics on the Edge. And it's of a guy called Rory Stewart. He was a politician for 10 years. And the entire book is it's pretty much a fail compilation. He tries to do something, and genuine things for his constituents or to try and change law. He gets some small wins, and they're widely celebrated. He in the UK now, for example, you have to pay for plastic bags. You have to pay a 5p tax for plastic bags every time you get one, and it cut plastic bag waste in the UK by 85%. And that was his policy, done by himself. Brilliant policy, but it's one of the only things he got done in 10 years. And the book was. Yeah, I don't know. The book was very depressing. It was just he's trying so hard and really, really working, and it's hard to get anything done. I think I mean, the worst thing you can fall into though is being apathetic and thinking, "Oh, I can't change anything." Because if you think that, yeah, well, you're right. You're never going to change anything.
Mm.
You need to be a bit like me with Beret when I applied and I had no idea, what the hell it was. Sometimes you just need to do that. I think it's always good to be doing something. Just as long as you keep moving, doesn't matter in which direction. As long as you keep moving and doing something, you're like something will happen. You're going to get something, and something's going to work out. But a lot of the time, it's very hard to know what way to go, and that's the difficult thing. I think if I was told tomorrow, this is how we're going to clean up the ocean. We need to do this, 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 and this, and everybody gets a document, and it's accomplishable. We all get a document. It could probably be done, but it's knowing what can I actually do, which is the difficult thing. It's the same with anything. There are other things for university applications, employment, or things like that. What can I do, or where do I go? So yeah, I mean, it's just you have to stay optimistic. Always have been an optimistic person, but sometimes I really think, and I look at something and I think, what am I doing, or where it's actually going to go? But I think, yeah, just the best thing to do is always try and do something. And advice for the future, that's quite a big one. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think just try and stay happy and try and keep moving in some direction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That really came through in what you just shared. What I'm picking up on is a focus on process. We can't really know. It can be hard to make decisions towards outcomes, but if we just keep an open mind and remain open to the possibility that things can be better, and we keep working.
Yeah.
That's the best we can do. And it's a lot, right?
Yeah. No, there's a lot. I mean, if you knew, it's like reading a book. If you knew the ending or the movie, you wouldn't read the book. You wouldn't watch the movie. Useless. So that's kind of the fun of it. It's also very scary, because you don't know where you're going to end up and you don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, you either do that or else you do nothing. So,
yeah. And I really appreciate the focus on just continuing to act. And there's another, just a sort of a callback to earlier in our conversation as well. And it's also coming through in what you've been sharing about the future too, which is a focus on systems and changing systems. When you were sharing about your, people that you know in Northern Ireland who maybe haven't achieved certain educational level and things that they would say would be hurtful, not out of malice, but just out of ignorance. What came to mind for me was a quote from a man by the name of John Powell, who he's here. He runs a center called the Othering and Belonging Institute, which is at the University of California, Berkeley. And one of his most famous quotes is, "Go light on people, hard on systems."
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
Because we are all, constrained doesn't even really begin to capture. Like, we are functioning inside of systems. Every thought that we have is based on the systems that we're in. Every action that we take is inside of systems. And it can be a lot. I found it to be really helpful when, if I'm angry or annoyed or frustrated with a person, to go back to that, because God only knows, how much damage I'm doing every single moment because of the systems that I'm complicit with and functioning inside of. So,
yeah.
I personally love the thought of you as a decision maker, because I think the systems that could be changed for the better with you making a lot of these decisions, there's going to be good changes.
I hope so.
If I could vote for you, I would, Kazim.
Oh, thank you. You can always move to the UK, and cast your ballot. Yeah.
I could. It's funny. I've always had this. I've always had, people have been progressives in the United States have been joking about defecting from the U.S. since George W. Bush got elected in 2000, right? So, I've never been a fan of that approach. Like, this is my country, this is my home, and I need to do what I can here. Although every once in a while, the thought of
living somewhere else. I do appreciate being outside of the United States, which is why I've done the things I've done in my career as well. And at the same time, it's like I do have a voice here, and I want to see what I can do. And it is very confounding when it feels like so overwhelming as it does right now. So I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your thoughts and your optimism about a better future.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Have you got any other thoughts that you want to share before we wrap up our conversation here, Kazim?
No, I don't think so. I just want to say you were, as the dean of our cohort, I really enjoyed you there. Thought it was very good. I was like, as you mentioned, saying you good in the corridor. Yeah. And you always give a good answer. I remember in China, you gave me an egg with tea, a tea egg.
Mm.
That was the first time I tried those, and I quite liked them. So thank you for that. You gave me new food I liked. That was good.
That's great. I love that. I'd forgotten about that. Thank you for the reminder. It was really special to be in Beijing for me because, that's my home region in a way.
Yeah.
Right. And as we went through all the regions, there were so many. It was wonderful to learn from everybody. And I was just like, I was learning so much. And then when we finally got to Beijing, I was able to kind of return the favor a little bit and share a little bit about a place that is so near and dear to me as well. So I'm glad you enjoyed the egg. I'm glad you were, willing to try it, and that it was actually something that you ended up enjoying.
It was quite good. Yeah. It was quite nice.
All right, Kazim. Well, thanks again so much for taking time with us today.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Kazim. If you did, please tell at least one friend about it. Give us a 5-star rating and follow the podcast. That will help others find us. Until next time, let's keep our heads clear and our hearts open.